everybody. Welcome to Attitudes with Andy. Thank you so much for being here. This is a place where we get to learn and grow together from elite guests. And today's topic and person has been highly requested, and so it is an honor to have the two combined. And what we're talking about today is habits, what the heck they are, how we can build them, and how we can utilize them to change our lives and step into our power. Ooh. So the person I have today to talk about this is none other than Bec Sewart. If you don't know who this queen is, she is taking social media by storm by teaching and creating a community of people who are ready to change their lives, step into their power, and build healthy habits in a positive way. She is also an entrepreneur. She owns the business, The Habit Tracker, which has amazing productivity products to help us slay. But most importantly, Bec is genuinely a very down-to-earth queen. I bumped into her the other day and I was like, hey, you're actually coming on my podcast. And her and her husband were so welcoming and so lovely. And I was like, yes, I love that you match your personality on social media. It's always so good. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I am so excited to be on this potty.
Slay.
Woohoo. So excited.
Woohoo. I do have a question. When I approached you and I was like, hey, were you like, who the fuck is this?
Yes.
And then instantly I realized, oh, she doesn't know who I am.
Yeah, I just thought you were like just a follower that wanted to introduce yourself. And I was like, oh, hey. And you're like, you're coming on my podcast. I was like, oh, hey, it's Andy.
Yeah, a lot of people sometimes think I'm going to be a boy when I reach out to them.
Oh, okay.
Because I might text them if somebody's given me their number.
Oh.
And then they'll be like, yeah, man, sounds good.
Is Andy short for anything?
Miranda.
I love that. I actually love that.
Yeah, it's a bit rogue.
I love that.
I love it. Okay. Anyway, enough about me. Don't Uno reverse. Oh, Bec also has a podcast.
I do.
Yeah, it's called In Her Power.
Yeah,
so this is why she's trying to be the host, but today it's all about Bec. Okay, so the first question I have for you, because the listeners are amazing. They love to build healthy habits. They love to work on themselves. But I would love to start with the basics. What is a habit and why is it so important to build them?
Yeah, so a habit is essentially something that we do repetitively, often subconsciously. We don't realize we're doing it. And they are so important because they're kind of the building blocks to everything else in our life. So if you think about, let's say, for example, a massive goal that we might have, we know that we have a particular set of habits that we need to show up in day out to get to that goal. So they are so incredibly important. They're dictating where we're going, but also, I guess in terms of goals, they can dictate what you achieve, what you obtain, all the things. So I think they are very, very important.
Now I'm scared I'm not filming.
I need to start doing that, by the way. But that's a whole new thing that I don't want to do.
Oh, take it baby steps. Otherwise you'll overwhelm yourself.
I'm already there.
That's the biggest thing. So already hit the overwhelm. Talking about overwhelm.
Yeah.
So when I feel like when people want to build healthy habits, they're like, I want to get fit. So I'm going to clear out all of my junk food and get the healthiest food. I'm going to go to the gym 5 times a week. I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. and I'm going to drink kale smoothies, and they do it for a week or a half. What?
That's me. I'm joking. No, but it used to be until I discovered habit tracking. So we'll get into that in a moment.
Okay, so that's scenario 1, and then it just flops and they can't stay consistent. Going all in, and then it just doesn't work, and then people will be like, oh yeah, I tried to be healthy but it didn't really work. So how can we kind of make that an end goal? How do we go from that to like doing that consistently and easy? And as you said, a habit is something that you do without even thinking. That's pretty awesome. Yeah.
So this is kind of where the concept of the habit tracker came from for me. So I was so sick of, specifically in January, when you've got this random spark of motivation, you set these goals and these intentions, and then like 3 weeks in, you're like, whoopsies, I'm back to square one. I've fallen off the bandwagon already, because you're right in saying like it can be so overwhelming because you go all in with everything. So I guess my number one tip with this would be like to find maybe 3 or 4 things that you could do. Start baby steps. Don't go all in straight away because that can be so overwhelming. Like we're talking about a completely different lifestyle here, specifically if it's about fitness. Like that's an entire lifestyle flip essentially you're doing. So I'd recommend finding what it is or where it is that you want to be at the end of the year, at the end of the month, or whatever it is, and finding 3 to 4 things, slight things that can build to this bigger goal and input them into a habit tracker. Now, this is where it all started for me. And essentially, habit tracking is, the title speaks for itself, but we track habits over a period of time until they become instilled behaviors in the brain. So research suggests that it takes, on average, 66 days for a behavior to turn into a habit.
Wow.
Yeah. So I actually gave this theory a test run, essentially. This is how I actually found like a journal, like a peer-reviewed journal on how habits are born, the psychology behind habits. And so obviously to make something stick, we have to repetitively do it. But there also has to be an element of like a dopamine effect for it to stick in the brain. So there has to be a pattern for the brain to pick up like, okay, I'm doing this repetitively, but there's also a positive reinforcement here. So I'm going to make this stick. So habit tracking is not only repeating things time and time and time again, but also ticking things off and feeling accomplished there is the positive reinforcement. That's the dopamine effect. Every single time you go over to your habit tracker, tick it off, there's a little accomplishment there. So you're like, this is awesome. I've done it. And also the thing with habit tracking is you can see how far you've come throughout the month. If you've got, how far you've come throughout the week. And that's why I came out with the habit tracker book, is that you can actually reflect back on the months that have been and, the week that it's been. And that within itself is super positive. So not only are you getting that positive reinforcement, but you're tracking that time and time and time and time again until you're doing these things without thinking about them.
That's so true about like it's so satisfying ticking something off.
Yeah, it's a positive reinforcement there. So it's like your brain's like, this is good. This is really good behavior. So let's continuously show up here in this concept.
Yeah. Because when I bumped into you, we were talking about how like meditation, for example, you're not going to see the effects straight away.
Yeah.
And so like ticking them off is a way to
that's the whole concept. And it's like, this is why I love it, because I'm such a logical person. I love to know like, okay, this is how it's going to work because this is backed by how my brain, like you're working with your brain here, not against it, which I love.
Because we often want to just make radical changes and be like a weapon in the gym or like be a boss CEO or whatever you're starting and want to work like 12-hour days or, we're very extreme these days, I feel. And unfortunately, it's actually like really unsexy.
Yeah, it's so unhealthy. It's so toxic. And yeah, I mean, I have had my fair share of very much in the past, like going all in. You just burn yourself out. You're setting yourself for quote unquote failure because you're letting yourself down. It's not realistic. It's so unhealthy. It's just don't do it. Start with baby steps, like 3 to 4 little things, little changes, because at the end of the day, these habits compound. They all add up at the end of the day. And yeah, just start small, far out. Yeah. It's my number one tip with this whole concept is to start small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slow.
Slow.
Yeah. And then I've been tracking my runs and then, hey, thanks. And then I'll like cross it off and then I can see on the weeks when I've only done like half the amount of runs I said I was going to do. And so it's a good kind of like push in the face because once in a while, if you don't do a run, that's okay. You don't have to be perfect. But then it's like, oh, am I just lying to myself?
Totally. And that's a massive thing with habit tracking is that it actually keeps you really, really honest. So I remember I was going through, it was a couple of years ago now, I was trying to shift a little bit of weight. And so I had a macro target that I had to hit every single day, day in, day out. And about a month went by and I was like, oh, I haven't made much progress in terms of, this weight loss that I wanted to obtain. And I was like, why haven't I done that? And so I went over to my habit tracker and there was like a massive gap where I was not eating my macro target. And I'm like, well, this is actually why I haven't achieved this goal. Yeah. So it keeps you super, super honest. Same with the gym. I remember I had X amount of times I needed to go to the gym and it got to the end of the month and I was like, fuck, I've definitely been going to the gym every day. And I went over to my habit tracker and I was like, no, I haven't. Yeah. It keeps you really, really honest, which I love as well because it's like a little diary of what you have or have not done.
Yeah.
I love.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm sure every day is really different because you're a small business owner, soon to be a large business owner. Let's go.
Let's go.
I find it so cute when people are like small business owner. I think you posted like a reel. It was like
Yeah.
day in the life as a small business owner, and I was like, for now,
Oh, I love that. I love that. Thank you.
yeah, you're gonna be huge.
I am.
Yeah, we'll look back on this moment and be like, oh, look at where.
That's sweet.
You're so cute. Oh, now I forgot what I was going to say.
Every day is different.
Yeah. Every day is different. But what are some of your kind of non-negotiable staple habits?
Yeah. Make my bed every
Oh.
single morning. Do you not make your bed?
No, I preach this so much. I think you're a psycho if you don't.
Like actually.
And
get
it would be
checked.
it's an ick.
It's
an ick. If a guy doesn't make their bed,
Ew.
grow up.
My brother doesn't make his. Sorry, I'm going to retract that. When we used to live together, like because I actually moved out when I was 25. So I stayed with mum and dad for a really long time. And like even up until the age, so he's a year younger than me. So the age of 24, he wasn't making his bed. And I was like, bruh.
This is why you're single, bro. No, I'm kidding. I don't know if he's single.
He's not anymore. But it's probably because he makes his bed now.
This habit will get you a girlfriend.
So make your freaking bed, because it's not only like you're setting yourself up for the day. My nana always said to me when I was a little girl, even if everything else in your room is so messy, if your bed is made, it looks a little bit cleaner.
It does.
And so I'm very much a clear space, clear mind. So if my bed is made, I'm okay for the day. But also that I'm a massive believer in how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you get up in the morning and you said to yourself that I'm going to make my bed and then you don't, you're living with the fact throughout the rest of that day that you could have, but you didn't because you're too lazy. So where else in your life are you slipping up because you're just too lazy? That's this thing for me. And especially with the dishwasher, I have a free morning. Every single morning. I have nothing on. I start work at 8:30, 9 o'clock, and I get up at 4:30. So I've got a really long buffer to do that dishwasher. If that dishwasher is not done, where else am I slipping up in my life? Because I could have done that. I promised myself I did that, and I didn't. Because I can't be fucked. So where else am I slipping because I just CBF?
Yeah.
So how you do one thing is how you do everything, in my opinion. I'm a massive believer in that, specifically in my life. I will pick myself up and be like, dude, you're just being lazy. And this is such an easy task. How else are you being lazy in things that require more focus or more work? Stop being lazy.
Yeah.
Get up. Do it.
I've never seen someone so passionate about the dishwasher.
I know. But it's a massive thing for me. Just do it.
Yeah, I have heard that quote. How you do one thing is how you do. I am a believer in it. But at the same time, I'm like, some areas I'm killing it.
Yeah.
And then some areas I'm slacking in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's okay. But it's these mundane things that should be done, but you're not doing it. I'm like, is this almost a reflection? Where else is this concept of it should be done, but it's not because I'm lazy?
Yeah. No, 100%. Because I can see how that would definitely at work, there's so many fun things I get to do, but there's some little mundane things.
Yeah.
And if I'm I'll just do that next work day, then I find I do that with the podcast as well. I'll be like, I'll just do that,
Absolutely. And that's exactly what I mean by that. It's just so many things, especially I've been in business full time for myself for 6 months now. Amazing. And there's so many things where I'm like, oh, I'll just do that tomorrow. And I'm like, well, no.
Because you're your own boss. You have to.
Absolutely. And so I'm like, Bec, red flag. This is actually the same mentality as what you say when you should do the dishwasher, but you don't. You're pushing it back. Just fucking do it. Anyway.
How good do you feel though once you do it?
Oh, the best. You've set yourself up for the day, essentially. You've done the shitty work to begin with.
Yeah. That just cut out for me. Did it cut out for you?
Yeah.
Far out. Don't book this studio. I'm kidding. I love it. Okay. So you make your bed, and then what is the next habit?
Daily movement.
Yeah. Okay.
You've got to. For me personally, I have to move. Even if it's not a gym session or a Pilates session, it's got to be a walk.
Yeah. Hot girl walk.
Hot girl walk on the beach with Dexy Boy, which is my miniature dash hound, FYI. Movement, make your bed, 2 liters of water. Gotten to a point in my life, and it might be just my age, 27, that if I don't drink my 2 liters, my body tells me massive headache, sore tummy, sore eyes. That is like my
Wow.
signal. And it's only if I don't drink my 2 liters of water, because I've made it such a habit in my life that now it's like almost like a withdrawal if I don't have my 2 liters. That's a massive thing for me.
Like throughout the day or in the morning?
Sorry, the entire day.
Okay, I was like, glug, 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 glug. Just downing it.
No, it's an entire day. That's my daily water goal. They're my top 3 or 4. Did I just say 3 or 4? Don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
So they're my top 3 or 4.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Stunning. I like that you keep it simple.
Anyway, yeah, those top 3 or 4 are my ride or die habits.
Yeah.
They make me feel, if I can get to the end of the day and I've done those 4 predominantly, I'm a happy gal.
I'm a happy woman.
A happy girl.
Okay, so you were working full time?
Yeah, part-time.
Part-time?
Past 9 months
Okay.
before I went out on my own.
Okay. So let's start to when you were working full time.
Yeah.
When did you start kind of getting into the entrepreneurial / posting on social media? Fabs.
So I've been on social media for like 8 years. Oh, more than that actually. But anyway, I think when I was in my last year of university, I started to delve into the world of social media. So I actually started university as a studying primary education. I thought I wanted to be a teacher.
Aww.
Aw. Then I realized I hated children. No, nothing against them. They're beautiful.
How do you?
Okay, so I would like credit to myself. I would be a great teacher, but
Yeah.
I don't have patience.
Yeah, okay.
So like I would be teaching grade 2s and I'm like, what do you actually mean you don't know what 4 + 4 is? Like, what do you mean? So I got to a point where I was like, I don't have the patience to be super passionate and be really, really good at this job. And those kids deserve a really fabulous teacher,
Yeah.
which I
just can't be for you.
I just can't be for you.
Sorry.
So anyway, I got 3 years into that 4-year degree.
It took you 3 years to realize you
Well,
like kids.
In your 3rd year at primary education, like when you do primary education at university, that's when you get into a classroom setting and you start to actually teach. And so I was like, I've wasted so much money and so much time, but I've got to withdraw. I can't do this degree.
Good on you for doing that. So many people are like, well, we're this far through.
Yeah, and you know what? It's probably one of my biggest regrets was not finishing that degree.
Really?
Yeah, just because I could have used those credits towards the next degree that I went to. So I actually entirely withdrew and applied from scratch for another degree. Instead of I could have transferred and credits and things like that could have been transferred. Anyway, did primary education. Then I got into my marketing degree. And that's kind of where I started to delve into the world of social media marketing and digital marketing and all the things. And that's where I was like, I want to see how I can apply my learning to my own social media. So I started to post on social media a little bit more. The quality of content was a little bit better. I started to gain a following as a result of more effort and more time into social media. And I remember I got my first ever paid collaboration with Spotify. It was
God.
Yeah, it was like, I was like, whoa, this is like major. And that was my first little taste of actually earning money online.
Yeah.
So I think I was about like 19 at that time. And so, no, it would have been like 20 actually. Anyway, and then I started to just keep pushing with that. I was like, I can actually make money on here and this could be a job for me. And so, yeah, it was kind of around that time I graduated. I went to full-time work essentially in the marketing space, but at the same time my social media was taking off. I discovered the habit tracker. I was doing the habit tracker on the side. So I was essentially working a full-time job and then doing like a full-time thing on the side as well.
Yeah.
So
How did you manage that? Was that a lot?
it was a lot. It was a lot. So I was like doing a lot of my social media like at work as well, like on my lunch break, or like if I had some downtime at my job, like my office job, I would be doing it on the side as well. And to be honest, if COVID didn't happen, I think I would still be working a full-time job and doing social media like on the side.
Wow.
It was COVID that was the catalyst for me. So I was actually made redundant from that marketing role.
That's so good.
I know. And this is one
Not
of
good
these,
at the time, I can imagine.
No, it was very terrifying, but it was lucky because I was still living with mum and dad. Like I had no overheads, like I had nothing, essentially no rent. I just had like my piddly like car repayment that I had to pay once of whatever it was. So it's one of those stories that it's like, if that didn't happen, I actually don't know where I would be. I'd probably still be playing it super, super safe in my life. Anyway, so I got made redundant from that role and I was like, oh shit, like I've got to pivot here a little bit. And so that's when I was like, let's ramp up social media. Let's do this. Let's ramp up the habit tracker. Let's make it a business. And yeah, I guess here we are now.
So you lost your job and then you went When were you working part time?
So from a period in that 3-year period of like COVID,
Yeah.
when it went up and down or whatever, I went back to part-time work.
Why is that?
I moved out of home.
Okay.
That's right. I moved out of home. So wanted to pay. I wanted my own space and this and that, and then I had rent now, and
So
I
it wasn't
signed up at
generating as much income back then.
no,
No.
next to nothing. Like every once in a while I had, my contracts with like my brands and what have you. But at the time, because I was such not small, I was about 20,000 followers in, it wasn't generating enough money at the time consistently. Sorry, the money that came in was great. I'm not going to lie. Like being an influencer and being a content creator is fantastic money, but it's just the consistency is always so up and down. It's so hard to budget and forecast and all the things. So I wanted that security there, a consistent income every single week. I knew how much was coming in. I could budget. And so I had that security there, but I also still worked on the social stuff on the side. So I worked part-time off and on for different for different companies. And then end of last year, I moved to the Gold Coast.
Oh, where were you this whole time?
Brisbane.
Vegas.
Yeah, I was a Brizzy gal. And then I as soon as I moved here, I was like, I'm going to quit my job.
Yes. Something about the Gold Coast makes you feel so brave.
Literally, you do not understand how many people have messaged me since I moved. When I moved, and then I announced that I was quitting my 9 to 5, essentially, people were like, there's something in the air at the Gold Coast.
Oh, it's a blessing.
Like,
amazing.
There is something in the air here that just makes you just realize that you actually can achieve whatever the fuck you want. And so that's what I did. I was like, I'm quitting. Can I swear?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. I was like,
off air, can I swear? Yeah, go for it. Just not the C-bomb.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
I don't fondle with her.
Ew.
I literally just realized what I said, and that's not how I meant it. I did not mean it like that. I meant like the C word is her own entity, and I don't mess around with. Anyway.
I'm going to cry. That's so good.
Oh, fuck. Anyway. What was I saying? I'm dead. I'm literally crying. I can't breathe. I'm crying. Anyway.
I'm so sorry.
Oh my God, I'm dead. I'm literally gonna choke.
I don't fondle with it.
I didn't mean it like that, I promise.
Can I leave this in? Okay, we're good. We're good.
Yeah, all right. I actually don't remember what I was talking
We were
about.
talking about when you moved to the Gold Coast.
Oh, yeah.
And you quit your job.
Yeah.
And you sent it.
I sent it. Like as soon as I moved here 1 week in, literally I hadn't even finished unpacking my apartment and I was like, I'm quitting my job.
That's it. I quit.
I actually quit, gave my 2 weeks notice, went out on my own.
How
first
did you
day
feel
ever.
when you handed in your notice to leave your job?
I was shaking in the meeting because not only was I scared, like I can't do confrontation to begin with, but also I have just moved to the Gold Coast. I left my hometown, even though it's in Brisbane, but it was like it's a massive move for me because I've always lived so close to my mum and dad. I lived with my mum and dad for 25 years, went out and moved out 2 minutes down the road. So like I've always been close to my parents and like I've always been my happiest there with them. So I moved away from them. Our rent doubled plus some. Zach didn't have a job lined up. I was still working in Brisbane. So that was stupid. Everything, it was not a smart decision at all. Like there was no way in hell that I should have done that by the book. If you're going to play by like what a smart decision is, that was not it. But I just knew the move, essentially. I was like, I'm surrounded by all my friends live here. They all work for themselves. I have some beautiful acquaintances that, you know, are successful businesswomen, and I'm like, that's what I want to be. And I know that I can't get to that point unless I take the risk and I wholeheartedly believe in myself. And I actually had a conversation with literally the day I quit. I was like, if this is what you're going to do, you have to work the hardest you've ever worked in your life. And you have to match that hard work with 110% faith in yourself, because if you don't, did I just cut out?
Yeah, but keep going. This is good.
Because if you don't, you're going to fail. And I don't believe in failure. I think there's always lessons. But for me, going back to working for someone else was failure for me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to do that anymore. That was not the life I wanted to live anymore. And so, yeah, the day I quit, I was like, you're having a meeting with your boss. You're quitting in 2 weeks. You're going to work the hardest you've ever worked in your life, but I believe in you. Like, you can absolutely do this.
Oh my God. That's so beautiful.
Yeah, and and here we are now. Like, that moment in time was pivotal for me. Like that stepping into my power and taking control and like having this conversation with myself, being like, you can actually do this because you trust yourself and I know how hard you can work. You've never given anything 110% in your life. This situation is where you go all in. And so that moment there was pivotal, because 6 months into having my own business and working for myself, I have earned more money in 6 months than I did in an entire year working for somebody else.
That's nuts.
So why didn't I do that sooner, kind of thing. But that was the time it needed to happen. And yeah, here we are.
100%. That's so brave.
Yeah.
It really is. It
Yeah.
can feel so scary to suddenly not have a regular income coming in. And
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very scary, but it was just one of those things where it's like, it's never going to feel good. It's never going to feel perfect. And I can identify this is the life that I'm currently living is not authentic to me. I don't actually have to work a job I hate. I actually get to decide, and this isn't what I want to do. And it was hard because, like, I come from a family where dad has always climbed the corporate ladder. Mum's always been in a job that she didn't love, but you just have to do it to get by. And I'm like, well, actually, you don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, no thanks.
No.
That's not a vibe.
It's not a vibe.
No.
The vibes are off. So I'm not doing it. And this working for myself has been the most authentic, purposeful, fruitful thing I've ever done. And it's completely changed my life. I will never, ever, ever go back to working with someone else because I don't have to.
Yeah, that's huge. Is it everything you expected it to be, working for yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Oh, it's very hard work, and everyone told me that. But it's very, very hard work, and I think it's hard because what I do doesn't feel like work, and so therefore I'm constantly at it because I want to be. I'm happy. I'm in the flow. I'm feeling good about what I do, so it's hard to switch off. But
100%, it's your baby.
It's my baby.
You can't just be, a lot of people say like have separate, when you get home from work, leave it at the door. But it's like, but that is it's your life. It's your baby.
That's what I live and breathe. And it's like, I love it. It doesn't feel like work. And so that element there, I'm still very much, I've got to give myself a little bit of grace because I've only been in business for what? Did I just cut out again?
No,
I don't think so. I've only been in business for 6 months. So I was like, give yourself a bit of slack, like chill. But I think also the return in terms of how good I feel, how aligned I feel, how much impact I've had on other people ever since going out on my own is like more than I could have ever imagined, because I'm living in 110% alignment, and that feels good for me. And people are picking up on that. Like, Andy, like, people are messaging me like, I'm listening to your podcast and like, this is what you were born to do. And I'm like,
oh,
bye. Like, I actually know that, and it was only until I stepped into my power, and that's why I'm so persistent on this messaging. Is like, once you can actually identify just how powerful you are and like exactly what it is that you want to do, and then like take that leap, that's when it all happens. Like, you're living in alignment here. You cannot fail. Like, there's no way you can. Do you know what I mean?
that's so beautiful. No, it's so true, and you're having such a beautiful impact because the videos you post on your personal page, you're like, quote unquote, romanticizing the small little habits. So then you watch it and you go, ooh, going for a hot girl walk every day.
Yeah.
That looks really nice.
Yeah. And it is. It's
Yeah.
the best.
And it is.
FYI, it's the best.
So a lot of people, as you would know, want to do things and they want to start a podcast or start posting on Instagram and all of that. Like, let's specifically speak about like content creation or starting a business. What would you kind of say to those people who are just terrified? They're like, what will people think? I don't know how to do it, you know, all of that stuff.
This is so cliche and people are probably going to roll their eyes when they hear this, but like literally just start. Not posting on social media because I was worried about what people would think about me was like my biggest roadblock. Like that is the biggest issue. That is the roadblock here. Like you cannot get anywhere in life if you're considering what everyone is thinking about you. And I think like it's specifically social media. Did I just cut out again?
Yeah.
Specifically social media and business related things. Sometimes the hardest part is just starting. So my biggest piece of advice would be literally get out like a whiteboard or a big piece of paper and write down what it is you want to do. What are the things I need to be doing every day or every week in order to get a little bit closer to this goal? Have I got to show up in my stories a couple of times a week or every single day? Or have I got to be putting in X amount of hours after my 9 to 5 to get a little bit closer to my business goal or launching my business or starting my business? Just start, because that is the hardest bit. And forget about what everyone thinks about you. Like, it's so much easier said than done, but that was the biggest roadblock for me and stopped me for the longest time. And like, I remember someone commenting on something of mine when I was talking about launching a podcast, and someone said, "Ugh, another influencer launching a podcast. Ugh, stop," or something like that. And I was like, can you imagine if I listened to that kind of stuff? Like, I would not be where I am right now. I had so many people telling me not friends, it was mostly family, and it wasn't my mum and dad, it was external family, saying, "Oh, maybe don't go out on your own until you've got X amount of money saved because it's very risky and X, Y, and Z." Can you imagine if I listened to them? I would still be like crying on my way to work because I hated my job so much. I don't know where I would be. Doing this stuff, just getting started, taking the risk and taking the leap has totally changed the trajectory of my life. And I like highly encourage you to do the same. Like, just start.
Yeah, that's so, so true.
Yeah.
Because so many people are like, I don't feel ready, or
it's never going to feel perfect. That's the thing. And sometimes this is actually where the magic happens when it doesn't feel good. You feel so uncomfy. Like, for example, like when I was quitting my job, I felt sick to my stomach, but I knew that I've got skin in the game now because this isn't the right time. I either work or I fail. So you actually make it happen. There's no way you can fail when you can match that hard work with 110% faith in yourself. Those two combined, you cannot fail. There's no way you can. Like, if you really think about it, you actually can't. Like, sorry. This is just a comment to you. Like, if you actually think about it, if you work the hardest you've ever worked, there's no way you can. You make it work.
Yeah, as long as you keep going.
Absolutely. Consistency is freaking key. You can't just be like, I've worked really hard for 48 hours. Why haven't I done anything? Like, why isn't this working?
Yeah.
It's hard work.
I love the passion. You're like, just no, but it's so true because there are so many people who do want to do things, and you are probably used to maybe saying this stuff to people, and some people will still choose to not do the thing. But how I frame it in my mind is I'm like, okay, yeah, it'll be hard, it'll be scary to do the thing you want to do. But I always think about me at like 50, 60, 70, and I'm like, living with the what ifs or the regrets is way harder, or just subscribing like to a job that you don't really love and doing that for 30 years. I'm like, that sounds way harder.
Oh my God. I saw this TikTok that literally made me cry, and it was like this girl was like, I heard this quote the other day and it goes like this. And it's like, this is like, imagine if you died and you went to heaven. Now, I don't know, depending what God you believe in, but let's just say like this your typical God that lives in heaven. So you die one day and you go up to heaven and God hands you this like photo album and this piece of paper and it outlines what you were destined to be, what you should have been in this lifetime. And God goes, what happened? You kept listening to what people said. You kept doubting yourself. This is what you were meant to be. And you didn't. I literally cried. I was like, can you imagine like getting to the end of your life and being like, fuck, I wish I did that thing that I said I wanted to do, because like, where would I be? What would my life look like? I do not want to get to the end of my life and be like, I could have been this person and have this amazing business and all these things, but I was so scared what people thought about me. Literally, fuck that. Nah, that's not ever going to happen in my life. So I remember listening to that TikTok and I was like, oh my God, cut deep. I was like, whoa.
Was this at a time when you had stepped into your power?
It was when I was going to.
Oh.
So it was like this massive thing where I was like, oh my
timing.
God, is this the algorithm or is it just a sign?
Yeah. We'll call it a sign.
It was a sign for me. And I was like, wow. So yeah, I was like, I do not ever want to get to that point where I'm sitting in a rocking chair and like at the end of my life and being like, damn it, I wish I did that thing.
Definitely. Yeah. I'm like, I just need to know. And then if you walk down that path and you go, actually, this isn't for me, that's fine. Now you know. Like you did your 3 years as a teacher. Now you know. Now you'll never be like, oh, I wonder if I – and it's funny because now you still are a teacher.
Yeah. At a totally different angle, I suppose. Yeah, that's
pays
so true.
way better as well.
Yeah. Way better.
Yes. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 22. No, I'm kidding. Wow, I don't know where that came from. But like I experienced like crippling self-doubt before I started this podcast, and I was just like, no, I can't do it. No one's going to listen to me, blah, blah, blah. All the shit that your brain tells you to keep you safe from doing the scary thing. Then I did it, yada, yada. And now, I don't know about you, but like I look at like, we'll look at my content or we'll look at beautiful messages from people or we'll look at the growth and just feel this overwhelming sense of like pride and trust and honor in myself. Yeah. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like I'll get these messages and I'm like, wow, like you did that. And the thing is though, like you could have always done that. Like you are you and like you are so powerful. Like we are all so powerful. There is so much potential in every single one of us. Majority of us, I'm going to say like 98% of us have not even scraped the surface of what we can do because we've never put ourselves in a position where we're like, let's work 110% and actually push and see how far we can take this one thing. And so I'm very much the same. I'll see these messages and I'm like, this was always inside of me. This was always the person I could be. And it was only until I stepped into her. And I'm like, whoa.
What does stepping into her mean to you?
I guess recognizing my potential. Like being like, and my mum told me growing up, you can do anything you put your mind to. And obviously as a little girl and like a little kid, you're like, oh, whatever. Like, what does that even mean? But now that I grow, I'm grown and I can totally understand that ideation now where I'm like, if I want to do something and I have my heart on something, I absolutely can achieve that provided, again, and I'll say it until I'm blue in the face, I can trust myself 110% and I can work at 110% capacity. Those two combined, again, you can't fail. So stepping into my power is acknowledging my potential, acknowledging how powerful I really am, and backing myself 100%, 110% in whatever it is I want to do.
Okay, there's a few things there. First of all, if someone's listening to this and they're like, okay, that sounds amazing, and I'm also lucky that I have found the thing that lights my soul on fire, and it's so fun because, as you said, you can spend hours and hours and hours doing it. It doesn't feel like work, which is such a special thing to find. But what about to the people who haven't found that yet? Because a lot of these people are in their like early 20s. Yeah. And some of them haven't found that thing.
I would encourage you to step into, am I cutting out?
No, you're good.
Okay. I would encourage you to
I'll
step
let you know
into,
if you are. Okay.
I would encourage you to step into trying, I suppose, a variety of different things. Like surely you have a hobby or a passion of some sort. Step into, are there groups or events that you can, go to within this specific hobby or within this specific industry or whatever it is. Immerse yourself into things that light you up a little bit. You know, surely you've got a hobby or something. Step into, events, or is there a community that you can be a part of, or just immerse yourself into what you think the avenue that you want to go into. So for example, I used to do social media management. I loved social media. I loved digital marketing. I've worked in the marketing space for years. And so I thought I wanted to be a social media manager, got into it, loved it for a couple of months, and then realized actually I'm putting so much effort into my client success while my success is kind of rotting in the corner.
Yeah.
So it was a matter of just giving it a go, stepping into it, giving it a red hot crack, and you'll kind of dictate, it'll either feel really good for you or it won't.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of how you can dictate what it is you want to do. There's got to be something, though, that you're passionate about, or maybe a conversation that you love listening to, or a topic you want to delve more into. Immerse yourself into it and see where it takes you.
Okay, so be curious and then explore that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think if you do that, you'll be able to distinguish what you're interested in and then what you're actually passionate in.
Totally.
Because there's so many, like I have lots of interests, but if I pursued that hardcore and I have some of them and then I go like, oh, actually this isn't the thing.
Yeah.
But I still like it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally agree. That's like me as well. Like also distinguishing like what you're good at and what you're interested in. So for example, like I'm a singer.
Are you?
Yeah. So I've been singing my entire life, but I could never see myself doing that as like a
so it's my
job.
interest.
I'm good at that. Like I have that talent, but it's not what I want to pursue.
Yeah.
So I feel like also distinguishing that as well. You could be really lucky and have like a full-blown talent. It's your interest and like and your passion, you know, and that's when you're like, you're winning at life.
And that's when, what they say, find something that is play for you but looks like work to other people and pursue that. Yeah.
I feel like you've won in life if you're able to like wake up and like genuinely love what you do. And you're like, I'm not working. Like this is quote unquote work, but God, I love it. God, I'm good at it. That's what I get to do for the rest of my life.
Let's go.
Let's go.
So you spoke about kind of working hard and giving it your all. What did that look like when you first went all in?
Yeah.
And is that what it looks like now?
No. So I am a very structured person. I'm a very organized gal. And so when I first went out on my own, I tried to be as structured as I possibly could. So on a Monday, I'll do this. And then on Tuesday, it'll be this. And Wednesday, it's podcast recording day. And then Thursday, it's habit tracker day. And then Friday, it's content creation day. And it's just like, that was great to begin with. But I think the reality is you've got to be a little bit more flexible, especially when you go out on your own. Things chop and change. The industry that I'm in chops and changes all the frickin' time. So I felt like I was setting myself up for disappointment in myself because I was just so like, if you don't do this on a specific day, then like the whole schedule's fucked up and all the things. So I'm like, I've got to be a little bit more resilient to go with the flow. And that was a massive learning curve for me as well because I'm a very controlling in terms of like my schedule. I don't like last minute changes. And that's been a massive learning for me. You've got to be very, very resilient, especially in this industry, especially as a business owner. Things get cancelled, things fuck up, things don't work. You just got to go with the flow. So in comparison to now and 6 months ago, totally different. As I said, I'm very, I'm a lot more chill, if you will. A lot more chill.
Yeah. Okay.
With my scheduling in particular, yeah.
Yeah. And what are your thoughts on kind of like working hard? You know, there's a big hustle culture. You see a lot of people posting about how they've been working 12 hours a day. And, you know, some days there will be a day where you need to do that. Absolutely. And then you hear other people like work smart, not hard.
Yeah.
What's your take on all of that and how do you fit into this?
Yeah.
On the spectrum there.
So I had this ideation going into working for yourself full time that it was like hustle, hustle, hustle. You're never going to have a holiday. You're never going to have this. And when I first went out on my own, I actually decided to launch an online course at the exact same time, the Mindful Method.
Nice.
And so I don't know why I did this to myself, but I only allowed for a 2-month window, like a marketing window. And in that marketing window, I was also building the course at the same time. So I was filming all the content, putting it together in the back end of the system, marketing it, doing EDMs, doing the entire strategy, but also the building of that course as well. And so I truly accidentally but organically fell into this like hustle. I worked all through Christmas. I worked on Christmas Day. I worked all the way from November because I was starting to dabble into it.
last year.
Yep, last year until the second week of January when I launched it. And on the last day when I launched it, I got so incredibly sick.
It always happens when you stop.
When I stopped and I finally gave, like, I was so tired. I felt like I didn't enjoy Christmas. I felt like I didn't see my husband. I felt like I didn't even see my family for Christmas. Like, my nana's getting old and I'm like, what if that was her last Christmas? I wasn't present. And so that was a massive thing for me where I was like, I'm glad I did that in my first month of business because I never want to do that again. Working till you're sick essentially is so literally unhealthy, but it's so toxic as well to set that standard. Like, it's not realistic. Like, I am living the best years of my life. I'm 27. I'm freshly married. I live on the Gold Coast. I'm not about this life where I'm like locked in my office from early hours of the morning till early hours of the night. Like, these are the best years of my life. I'm not putting them to waste. I do believe in working hard, as in like setting yourself, you know, some goals and things like that to get through the day and finishing your to-do list. But this hustle culture is just, been there and it's not good. It's toxic. It's so unhealthy. Made me sick. Never again.
Okay, so you're like, I don't subscribe to that.
Nah. And I understand some days in business you will be working until, you know, whatever it is, especially if you've got like a project or a launch or something, especially if you're a one-man show like I am. It's hard. But it all comes down to your time management and your organization as well, which is like a whole different kettle of fish, if you will. But they're skills that I'm still unpacking and learning myself, is that balance, but also that time management as well.
Yeah. Okay. And so how do you usually schedule your day? Do you time block? And if so, what is that?
Yeah.
How do we be productive during the day?
So I batch my time and I chunk my tasks together. So I will do like, let's say, for example, I will chunk all of the admin tasks together and dedicate a specific chunk of time to that. So, for example, I'll clock on at 8:30 and I'll allow myself 1 hour to do any outstanding invoices, catch up on emails, and then write my to-do list for the content that I'm shooting that day or something. Then I'll have a little break. I'll just go make a coffee or make a tea or put a load of washing on, and then I'll do another power hour. And so I've actually got a productivity timer that I actually have. It's like a little cube, and then I put it on my desk, and it actually sounds an alarm when that time is up. And yeah, I'll have my next break, and then I'll go back and do another power hour, whatever it is. So I like to ensure that I'm prioritizing breaks because that's very important, but also being realistic with my time as well and that to-do list as well. So trying to fly through as much as I can within that power hour. That's what works best for me. Writing it down, dedicating time to it, and prioritizing those breaks, I think is really, really important.
Yeah. I think breaks are good because you can be like, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to do this thing for like 4 hours, but it's like, but how much is the 4 hours you're going to be productive for?
Totally. And I think there's a difference between being like busy and productive.
Totally. I used to be like, oh my God, I'm so busy thinking I was so productive. And then I'd look at my week and be like, but what did you actually do?
Literally. It's that's the same as me. Well, not so much anymore, but I was just like, bro, you've been working all day and you have not been productive.
Yes.
And it's because I wasn't setting specific chunks of time to that batch of tasks. Because it's almost like this little self-challenge where you're like, I've got 1 hour to get through X, Y, and Z, and I know every single one of these things is super productive. Let's get through it.
Yeah. Okay, so what about distracting things like your phone, social media? Do you find yourself grabbing it, and how do you avoid kind of that so you can actually be in flow?
Yeah. So I think the do not disturb feature on the iPhone is like a godsend, just quietly. So my phone goes in like on do not disturb, but then it also goes in the drawer because I don't want to look at it.
Yeah.
I don't even utilize the timer on my phone anymore. I use my productivity timer cube that goes on my desk.
Smart.
Because I just don't want to see my phone.
And we can buy that on your
you can get it on my website. But yeah, I just totally rule out that little distraction. Put it in the thing. I actually don't need it. If someone needs to call me, it'll come through my MacBook anyway. And like I've only allowed Zach and my family to call me because you can change all the settings on the do not disturb thingy.
Yeah.
And only specific people can call you. So if it's like an emergency, it'll come through anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, get rid of your phone.
Yeah.
Put it on do not disturb. Like, I'm sick of it. Andy and I were just talking about before, like our screen time.
Yeah.
Like, I think they send you a reminder every week, like, hey, your screen time was up, or every 2 weeks or something.
Oh.
Mine's currently at 8 hours and I think 20 minutes or something. And it like makes me really sick to my tummy. But that is because I'm posting, getting back to DMs. Often I'm out and I'm accessing, you know, my emails and what have you. So I'm on my phone for work.
Yeah.
But it's still very depressing when you think
Yeah, you're
about
like,
it.
ooh.
And I often like feel sorry for my eyes. I'm like, you actual poor little things.
Oh,
You poor little baby.
I was really showing your age. This is not something I think about. Have you got the app Opal?
No, what's that?
Oh, Bec.
What is it?
Oh, this is going to rock your world.
Oh my God.
I should be sponsored by this app. I love this app. So Opal is basically, it tracks how much time you spend on social media or any other app that you want. And you can literally set times to block your app, and you can set the difficulties. So like in the morning, I have my app blocked till a certain hour, and that's
God, I
so that
love
it's
that.
just me time. And that one I can go on to it and break it if I need,
Override
because
it.
if you're
Yep.
meeting up with someone for coffee and you've messaged on Instagram, then I'll
Yeah.
can do that. But in the evening, when it goes, I think it's till like 5 p.m, it'll like fully lock me out and I cannot edit it and I cannot go on it. And then on the weekend, I have my Instagram locked out for the whole weekend and I cannot
Okay, I
go
need
onto
that
it.
because
It's
I know
amazing.
TikTok has it has introduced that, and Instagram has now where you can have quiet time.
Yeah.
And you can also like turn off something. Anyway, it's so easy to override.
You could just press ignore.
Literally,
Yeah.
it's so
and I
shit.
used to do that all the time.
So shit.
Yeah, so this one's good, and then
Okay, I
you
need
can,
that.
and then if you get it, let me know because you can add your friends. You can be like, oh, this is how much I. I'm so passionate about it.
I'm actually going to download that as soon as we finish.
Yeah, it just show.
Because I need that.
Yeah, no, I need it too. It's
Because, yeah,
good.
I do understand that. I very much so, especially when I first started out, whenever I would get overwhelmed or I would get stressed, my initial reaction would be to reach for my phone.
Yes, I would scroll on Instagram.
Scroll.
And I
Yeah.
go, Andy, what are you avoiding? And I'm like, I'm actually feeling stressed and I'm trying to procrastinate. I'm trying to feel better. I'm like, oh, guilty.
That's me.
Very random off-topic question,
Yeah.
and you do not have to answer this if you don't feel comfortable.
Are you from Adelaide? Are you from Adelaide?
No.
Okay. Sorry.
Why?
Because you're like, you don't have to answer this. And it was very fancy.
Oh. I'm part British though.
Oh, okay. That makes so much sense.
No one's ever commented on that. That's so funny.
Sorry. I have a lot of attention to
You
detail.
don't have to
so-
answer this. Yeah.
Answer.
I say dance. I say do you say
Dancing.
yogurt or yogurt?
If you say yogurt, I'm leaving.
I say yogurt. The other day I was like, should we go get some frozen yogurt? And everyone's like, that's a sin.
Yogurt. Yogurt.
Yes.
It's yogurt. It's anyway.
Wait, what was it? Oh yeah. Okay. So when you got your 1 year's salary, equivalent of 1 year's salary
Yep.
within 6 months, or was
Mhm.
it the first 28 days?
It was the first 22 days.
So you made your whole year's salary in
Yeah.
the first 22 days of this
January.
year. Huge. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's
I
some
cried when I did when I
Oh.
ran the reports on my website. I was like, there's no way this is real.
Oh,
But it is.
that's so beautiful.
Thanks.
Did you kind of invest that money, put it back into the business?
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Like
so
you invested that money?
not all of it.
No. Do you
So-
invest?
No.
No.
I
Okay.
need to see a financial advisor because we're at that point now where we're like, oh, we have money that we should be doing stuff with instead of just spending it. And am I cutting out?
No.
Okay. Spending it and like pissing it up the wall. So, yeah, pretty much as soon as January finished, I did a restock and a redesign of my habit tracker, which cost me an arm and a leg. So that's where a lot of my money went. But yeah, it's all just sitting in the business account, ready to, not all of it, obviously, but yeah, to reinvest and put back into the business. And I've got a lot of things that I want to do in the future in terms of like events and new courses and all the
Yeah.
things. So it's sitting there for me to be bigger and better.
Yeah. And then what portion of it, again, sorry, this is just the financial nerd side of me. What portion of it are you like, okay, 10% I'll pay myself or?
I haven't
To
got
live
that
off.
far in my business yet. I need to have a meeting with my accountant.
Oh, so do you just like pull money out?
When I need it,
Yeah.
I don't pay myself a wage.
Oh, so you don't have like a weekly amount that you give yourself?
No.
Ah.
So it's kind of hard because my husband and I, we share an account, so his income comes into play as well in terms of like what we spend our money on, what pays our bills and all the things. So I haven't really got a percentage or a structure with that as yet. Because it kind of all just happened so quickly, if I'm completely honest with you. So I'm still just learning, like, where does this money go? What is this, like, what do I do with this? Do I pay myself a wage? So I actually have a meeting with my accountant coming up.
Oh, that's exciting.
Because I obviously, now am, like, paying GST and all the things. So it's a whole new world to me. I don't know. And I suck with numbers. It is such, I literally, it's like my brain switches off when we talk about numbers or maths or money or anything.
Oh, so this conversation's boring? I'm like, I'm
no,
lined
it's not
up.
boring,
I'm like,
but
oh,
I'm like,
yes.
it's not boring, but I'm like, I just don't know what I'm doing. And
Yeah,
I feel like it's one thing that a lot of people don't touch on when you go out on your own. You're kind of just fucking winging it. I don't really know what I'm doing 90% of the time. I'm just going with what feels good for me. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, that's a lesson.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all the money that I earn stays, if it's from the business, it stays in the business unless I need it. Obviously, I pay tax on that straight away. I take my tax and put it into the tax account. But anything else, it stays there. If I've got to pull from there, I pull from there. So it also, the website income, so like the Bec Sewart website income stays in the business account. Then anything else that I get from social media is kind of like the money I pay for bills with and stuff.
Ah, that's so smart.
Yeah. So
different streams of income.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm so nerdy. So sorry.
No, it's
people
so
were like,
fun.
I didn't come here to speak about finances. I'm like, I did. I'm like, let's talk about finances.
I'm sorry I couldn't answer that in more depth, but
no, it's fine.
I can let you know in a couple of months' time when I have a meeting with my accountant.
Please do. I love that. And have you invested in any like coaching, mentoring?
Yes. Or I'm kind of just now delving into that world. So I actually I did buy two masterclasses.
Nice.
One was a business masterclass and
Huge.
one was a shadow work masterclass because I'm all into the world of self-development and all that kind of stuff. And I've actually just started my life coaching course, which is very exciting. I don't want to be a coach. I don't want to be a life coach, but the things that I talk about specifically on the podcast kind of spill into the world of life coaching, quote unquote. So I talk about taking a leap and taking risks and, we delve into like relationships and career and things that I would like to have a little bit more of like an educated insight about.
Aww, I love that.
I obviously talk a lot about like my personal experience, and all of it's coming from personal experience and passion, but I also want there to be a lot of quality there. So I've got an educated, informed, guided insight for them as well.
Yeah. And that's the thing that makes your content so powerful, especially your podcast, is because you are an example. It's not just theory, because a lot of people, especially on the Gold Coast, do coaching courses and all of that, which like slay. There's totally a time and a place. There are people in the field killing it. I've had absolute weapons on my podcast, but they've all lived the experience of building up a business or of doing the thing. And so it's so important that you're learning from somebody who has done it and then can also talk about the theory. Yeah. And then you're like, cool, I'm going to learn how to articulate that even better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Huge.
I think that's, and obviously it's not a requirement for people to get like a life coaching certification to like give you advice.
No.
But I just feel like it's just a standard I want to set for me, and it feels good for me to do that.
Yeah.
In that way.
No, definitely. Always learning and growing.
Yeah, absolutely. I said in my podcast not long ago, like I'm feeling, because I've been out of university for quite a long time, I am feeling my vocabulary, like my level of vocabulary kind of starting to slip.
Ooh.
Like because I'm not reading like books with high level vocabulary. No shade to my husband or my friends, but like we don't speak very, high level vocabulary.
I'll be like lit, that's a vibe.
Yeah, like
here for it.
Like we're swearing and laughing and so blasé and chill, and that's so fine. That's how I want to live. But I'm not around lecturers or tutors or like high level like students anymore. So it's just like I feel like my vocabulary is going like a little bit. But it's nice to get back into like reading textbook stuff again. And I'm like,
hello, big word. Me Googling every second word. Like, what's this mean?
Literally. But I love it at the same time. I love learning and broadening my little brain.
Yes. Always very important.
Very important.
You should come to Toastmasters with me. That's where
What's
I'm going to
that?
head up. I don't really understand it, but apparently it's a really good place to learn more about public speaking and wording things better and vocabulary and like building confidence. And like whilst we have a lot, I feel like being around people who also want to learn that, you could learn a lot. So I'm going to be hitting them up. I'll let you know.
Yeah, can you please actually let me know?
Yeah.
What is it? Just like it's like an event or like an academy or
It's
like
a place that you go to, I think, like once a week. There's one in Rabina. I'll send you the dates.
Yeah, send me the dates. That's right up my alley.
So the last few questions I want to ask you before we go into the Fast Five, is what are kind of the biggest lessons you've learned in business? As I'm sure you've had some crazy highs and maybe some crazy lows.
Yep.
What have been?
Okay, so my number one would be plan ahead as much as you can. So I'll give you an example. I put all my eggs into my one basket when I went out on my own. So my focus was launching this course because that was on my heart for a really long time. While I was launching this course, and you guys know that I put in 110% effort with that, pretty much every other element of my business slipped. So I ran out of Habit Tracker stock. And I didn't realize I had no content organized for any other one of my channels. So when I launched this course and enrollments closed, I got a great amount of money, but every other element of my business had completely slipped. I had no stock left. People were coming at me like, hey, where's your habit tracker? When are you restocking? I was in the middle of a redesign, so that was taking months and months and months. So while I had that awesome amount of money, I also had February. I earned $2,000 in February.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I didn't plan ahead enough. So that was a massive learning for me. Do not put all your eggs into one basket. Have your finger on the pulse as much as you possibly can. It's so much easier said than done. But plan ahead as much as you can, because once you start to, I guess, just focus on one particular thing, things start to slip. And not only do you see that logistically and financially, it takes a toll on you as a business person as well. You're like, oh, fuck, like that's disappointing and that's a letdown. That was a fuck up. But it's a lesson I needed to learn early, and I'm glad I did. I learned that early, and that will never happen again. And also off the back of that, try and be as organized as you possibly can. It is so overwhelming. Write your to-do lists, chunk your tasks, like block out your time. Just practice that time management and organization skills, because they will compound over time and help you in the long run.
Yeah. Skills that will.
Yeah. And those skills that you learn and you show up in can be applied to any other element of your life as well. So they're very good skills to have.
Yeah. Cool. And what was the lowest point of your business so far?
Probably that markup. Just trying to think what else. I'm going to say that markup.
Yeah.
That was a big mess up, because not only did that affect me, it affected Zach as well. And like, we were living off his income, essentially. That's the reality. And so, you know what? This is business. Like, it's all trial and error. You got to learn from these things. So that was probably the lowest point. And so that affected, like, we were fighting a lot because there was like financial strain and this and that. And that's just a reality, unfortunately. And that I will never, ever, ever do that again. Yeah. So I needed that to happen. As low as it was a learning I needed very, very early and very, very quickly. I learned very, very quickly, that's for sure.
Yeah, you got to experience it to be like, oh, don't want to be here ever again.
Literally never again.
Yeah, no thank you. Okay, so we like to end the podcast with the Fast Five. So I'll ask you 5 questions, and you can ask whatever. You can answer whatever pops into your head. You can ask the question back. No, I'm kidding. Is there anything else you'd like to sprinkle in here before we go into the Fast Five?
I think I've actually sprinkled everything I got.
I think you have.
Like, wow, you guys, you're walking away with a lot of fun.
A lot of hot sauce.
A lot of hot sauce, this juicy stuff.
Okay.
Wait, why is it called Fast Five?
Because
I've got to be really quick.
5. Well, you don't have to be really quick, but it's just kind of like the question, whatever pops into your head.
Okay.
Like, don't overthink the answer.
Okay.
No one's ever asked me that before. Ooh, okay.
Jesus.
Get nervous. Okay. What is your favorite book you've ever read?
Oh, just recently. You Are a Badass at Making Money.
Yeah? I've heard about
Holy
that.
shit. Life-changing. It's very much a money mindset book, but it delves into the world of manifestation, visualization, universal intelligence, law of attraction. I would recommend anyone at any stage of their life to read that book. Again, very money mindset based, but it's pretty much like what you have in your heart, what you have in your mind was put there for a reason because you can achieve it.
Okay.
Life changing. I honestly, like, if you're listening to this, go out to the bookstore today and get it.
Okay.
It was actually a recommendation from Georgie Stevenson. She said it was like the book that changed her life, and I can confirm it's now mine.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go. It's actually at home. I haven't read it.
Oh my God.
I know.
That's like my friend Ellie. She's like, I've had that book for like so long. I just haven't read it. I was like, you need to start it like as soon as you get home.
In my defense, it's my housemates.
Oh, okay. We'll start it.
Okay, I will.
It's really good.
Okay. Next question. Do you agree or disagree with the statement business means war, and why or why not?
No. There's room for everybody to succeed. Like, I'm sorry, there actually is. And it's like there's a niche, there's a market, there's something for everybody. We can all succeed. Like, and I do understand that statement. I do. But I don't agree with it wholeheartedly, no.
100%. I couldn't agree more. I always say there's plenty of room for success.
Absolutely. Anyone can do it.
I think that's why so many queens are just killing it in the business game, because they're coming from a place of, I want to bring this product or this idea or this concept because I want to help bring change and positivity. It's never coming from a place of like, I really want to make money. Not that there's anything wrong with making money. I think you should want to make as much money as possible, but it's coming from a wholesome, beautiful place, and then that generates money because you're bringing so much value to people.
Absolutely.
It's just a little theory I have.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Love that. Okay. I do want to ask you another statement then. Do you agree or disagree with the statement, money doesn't buy happiness?
I disagree.
Okay.
Because while it doesn't fix everything, it can contribute to happiness. So for me personally, my version of happiness, I would be my most happiest self if I was financially flexible and I had financial freedom. So I would be able to pay for my mum and dad to come on a big holiday with us and make beautiful memories, and that would make me so happy. And so while I don't think that that money can make you happy in a sense of it can fix things, it can contribute to a happy life.
I also agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think once you have a certain amount of wealth, I don't think it increases any more of your happiness. Like you look at millionaires who are miserable.
Totally.
And
agreed.
Yeah. Because you're like, I can enhance my beautiful relationships.
Yep.
With money. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Cool.
You got it, girl.
You got it, girl. What is your favorite quote?
You are entirely up to you.
What does that mean?
So you are entirely up to you. So, and it's very much about like, you know, what I preach, but like you actually have control over yourself, where your life is going. You have the power to step into your own potential, and actually no one can do that work for you except for you. Yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah. So that's what I live by. I am entirely up to me. No one can work as hard as I can in my business. No one can do the inner work that's required to get to where I want to be for me. You can't bypass the work. It's all up to you. I live by that one.
See, that does feel powerful because you're like, cool, I'm in control of my destiny.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. I actually have two more. I know. I said 5. It's the fast 6.
I wasn't counting. Don't worry.
Damn it. Okay. If you could go back in time and speak to little Bec, I'm going to say 23, selfishly, because I'm 23. What would you say to her?
Stop being so scared to be confident. That has been, and you would know this just by spending an hour with me. I'm a very bubbly, vivacious.
You're a vibe.
There. Like I'm a vibe. But like,
yes, you are.
But like for the longest time, I associated that ideation of being bubbly with being ditzy and clumsy and dumb. And it came from a comment that from an ex-boss years and years and years ago, where he called me ditzy because he's like, "Oh, you're always laughing and you're so loud. You're just a klutz and a ditz." Very ditzy. And so I was so scared to be confident then because people I was scared people would think of me as like dumb and ditzy and clumsy and an airhead. And so it affected everything else. It affected how I showed up on social media, and therefore I wasn't feeling my authentic self, and I wasn't attracting the correct people into my life. It affected every element. And it wasn't until I was like, actually, this is who I am and people love me for who I am. And it's all about coming back to that theme of stepping into my power, because it was only until I did that, everything else aligned with me. So that's a massive thing. It all came back to being, don't be so scared to be yourself and be confident.
Because it'll be what makes you successful.
Absolutely.
Aww. Yeah. Honestly, your confidence and your just beautiful energy has come through. Oh, I love you too. Oh, we're so cute. Okay. Why am I cringing at myself? Okay. Last question.
I'm ready.
If you could. I don't know why I'm whispering. The listeners are like, what? And then they turn up the radio, and then we're cackling and they're like, turn it down. Mute that. Okay. If you could embed one habit or mindset into the listeners' ears to make them absolutely slay at life, what would it be?
I just burped, sorry.
Mid-burp.
Oh, one habit. Oh, fuck, this is a hard one. Or a mindset.
You can have a little think on it. I can sing some elevator music if you want.
Yeah, go.
Do, 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 do.
That is so distracting. Oh my God, I don't know. Hang on. One mindset or habit. I don't know.
Hey, there's no pressure.
This is the first time I actually am not sure.
She's speechless.
Because I feel like I've spoken about what I would say, like as in like the whole ideation coming back to step into your power. Like you have so much potential. And again, and I've said this before, but I can guarantee you, the person listening right now, you have not even scraped the surface as to what you can achieve. Like, I'm sure you haven't even gotten halfway there yet, because you haven't put yourself into a position where it's just like you've got 110% skin in the game. So, like, where would you be if you went all in with the thing that you wanted to do? Like, I actually challenge you to consider where actually would you be if you could succeed at the thing that you wanted to do. Because you can. Because if it's on your heart and it's in your mind, it's absolutely possible to achieve. So step into your power, girl or boy or whatever it is you identify as, because
we're politically correct here.
Because you can do whatever the fuck you want if you work hard enough. It's possible. Anyone can do it. Just do it.
Just do it, as Nike said. And if the people want to follow you and find you good vibes, where can they follow you?
It is Bec Sewart _ on Instagram.
Because the first underscore wasn't available.
Oh, it was so annoying. Because like this is irrelevant, but my first Instagram account was _Bec Sewart. And then I had to remake a new one.
Oh, because it got hacked.
They wouldn't let me use it again.
Oh, rude.
So anyway, so it's Bec Sewart _ and then the .habit tracker for my little business. I shouldn't say a little.
Yeah.
Hello, that's limiting belief. For my upcoming big, bold, fuck off business.
Yes.
And in her power pod for the podcast.
Yes. Amazing. So you guys can get inspiration, you can learn, and you can also have a giggle.
Yeah, pretty funny. Kidding.
She's really humble as well.
Kidding.
She actually is really humble though. Okay. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on. I know you're a busy queen, so I really appreciate it. And it's been amazing meeting you.
Oh my God, this has been so much fun.
I also have to say, we actually have met before.
Have we?
Where?
Oh, fuck.
No, it's fine. I was going on a run and you were walking your dog.
Oh my God.
And I was a random chick who I panicked because I was running and I was like, oh, she probably doesn't want to like. Oh, like I was like,
I was literally gonna jump on my story and be like, hey, to the girl that like said, I love your Instagram. Can you please message me?
yes. So,
but I totally
really?
forgot. Yeah, I didn't put it up because I was like, oh. Yeah, I forgot. But then I was like, oh, fuck, I should have. But was that you?
Yeah, so I ran past you and then I was just like, I probably won't stop for a chat because you were with your friend. I was on a run.
Yeah.
So I just was like, hey, love your Instagram.
You know what? This is a learning for you because you definitely should have stopped, because who I was walking with was the brand manager for the Rise and Conquer podcast. You guys would have gotten along like a house on fire. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll pass across now.
And thank you so much for saying that out loud, because that actually made my day.
Oh, I'm really
Yeah,
glad.
it was really nice. I was like, oh, that was really, really nice.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I didn't want to come off as like a mega fan or something. I wanted to more be like, hey, I appreciate what you do.
Oh,
Is that what it came off as? Was that cool?
Yeah, you're really cool.
Yeah, cool.
I was like, oh, fuck, I wish she stopped for me because I wanted to talk to her.
Oh,
but anyway, you
noted.
definitely should stop next time you do that to someone, because that person would have been a great person to connect with, because you guys would have gotten along like a house on fire.
Oh, is she a bit of a vibe?
She's a vibe.
The vibes are there.
Yeah, she's a vibe. And her dog's a vibe. And anyway,
we're getting distracted. But yeah, if you guys have enjoyed this podcast, feel free to screenshot it, share it, tag us. You can follow the podcast at Attitudes with Andy. We got lots of new friends on there each and every week. We post episodes every Monday and Wednesday. So please click follow or subscribe on whatever platform you're on. And if you want to go the extra mile and be an extra crazy cat, please leave a review. 5 stars would be amazing. But whatever you're vibing with, we'll be happy with. Anyway, enough plugging. I'll see you guys next week for another episode. Bye.
Bye.